And we are live on a Monday. Good morning to you and yours, and welcome to it. It's called Clinican Monday for Mpho and Chats, and my name is Nkosi. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another exciting episode or edition of Clinican Monday. Right here on Mpho's Facebook page, also live on our Twitter stream. It is at n_health with the hashtag Clinican Monday. Also on YouTube, it is at popn. You can find us on www.popn.org for the behind the scenes, and don't forget to like our page on Instagram. It is at @Popn. We have a YouTube channel. That's where we let loose and dance a bit. Please find us there as well. It is at Popn. And like I said, my name is Nkosi, and today I'm joined by yet another clinician to help us understand viral load suppression a little bit better as we get close to learning about HIV, because it has become that topic that we need to talk about every day. To help us understand this a little bit more, today we are looking at what is viral load. It is Mpho Mankayi from Mpho in eThekwini, and yes, today, serving us this beautiful space. It is Mpho in eThekwini. We are in Florida Road, by the way. If you want to pop in, make sure that you are there. Please leave your comment on the comment section, and your questions right here on Facebook and actually anywhere else, and send through those questions as we understand viral load. Nonetheless, thank you so much for joining us, Mpho. Good morning to you. Happy Nurses Day. Previous former.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, V. Thank you for having me.
How are you feeling? How are you?
Fantastic.
I hope Nurses Day we have a poster. They send you beautiful things.
Actually, I think Nurses Day should come with money. You don't just say Happy Nurses Day. Money should,
stole it from somebody's statuses. Was saying actually, I think it should be that. But I think something that really would give you gratitude more than money is seeing people who are on treatment, suppressing or being better.
Definitely. I mean, it's a testimony to our work to say that we're doing our job. I'm seeing someone who started with their ARVs and they take their medication well to a point where they get suppressed. I mean, to us, that's the greatest thing that you can give it to us, to say this is actually, that's our happiness day. It's us actually seeing that we're actually doing our job. So. And
you actually having impact, or your work having impact. I mean, something that has impact in our lives is HIV. Through the series of conversation, we're trying to get to understand viral loads. We've been sort of made understood what viral load is, but there's low, there's high, there's under what copies. We're trying to understand that. So with you, we are talking low viral load. Perhaps maybe for those that have not been part of that previous conversation, just take us through what then is a viral load versus what is a low viral load.
Okay, so when you talk about low viral load, it's also known as low viremia. That's when you talk about the client that's having a undetectable viral load. It means that the client has to, or the client or the patient, their viral load needs to be less than 50 copies inside the blood. So when you talk about viral load, we're talking about the amount of HIV virus inside one's blood.
Okay, I got you. So it needs to be, if it's low, it needs to be under certain copies. Then what would have happened if the viral load if a viral load is low? What are those factors that then contribute to a low viral load?
Well, you take your medication. That's the first thing. You being adherent to your medication. Adherence, that would mean that you keep time. You ensure that you don't skip days without your medication, and you don't have any other factors that are which is you using abusing substances that might make you not to maybe forget taking your medication one time or not at all. So you being adherent, or us getting to that state, it's you having to take your medication daily.
Let's talk about the benefits. So we are adhering to our medication, our viral load is suppressed. Sister Dube spoke about us then coming back for 6 months to check our viral load. Then you know that the person is suppressing. What then would the benefits be for somebody who has a low viral load?
Okay, so the first benefit number one would be you being virally undetectable. It leads to you being not being able to pass the virus to someone else. This is when you're talking about you equals to you. That's the first benefit. Second benefit is you boost when your viral load is high, your CD4 count cells are high. Therefore, it means you are less prone to infections. You are less prone to conditions that might affect you. And for your heterosexual relationships, this is a stage where one can have sexual intercourse, if they're planning on having kids, have unprotected sexual intercourse, and for the other partner who's not affected, they're not being affected with HIV.
So basically, it's you equals you in a nutshell, because people, that is their new HIV status. That's why I always say this, that the new HIV status is you equals you, where we get to a point where somebody who's HIV positive cannot pass the virus to the next person, and vice versa. So those would be then the factors. I want us to then talk about factors that keep the viral load low. Yeah, your viral load is low. Then how do we make sure that we maintain it just being kept low?
So maintaining the viral load to be always low would be for us to do our adherence. When you talk about adherence, we're talking about us constantly asking you questions. Are you taking your medication well? Are you experiencing any side effects? Are you maybe abusing alcohol? Are you having problems with that? So that if you're having problems with that, we can refer you accordingly to our social workers, so that they can ensure that you're always on your medication. On time, you come on your clinical for your clinical visits, and you don't skip months or weeks of you not being on your medication. So those leads to you being very undetectable.
I'm talking to a social worker a little bit later to try and understand the psychological, actually even the psychosocial part of why somebody would not be suppressed or would not have a viral load that is low, or an undetectable viral load. In your view as a clinician, why are people? I mean, information is there. We have Clinical Mondays, we have posters, so there's a lot of HIV information really, at our fingertips, but it still looks like, especially when it comes to the third 95, second and third 95, we are struggling there a bit, because I think the first 95 we've got it covered. We're getting new clients. I mean, we're putting them on treatment, we're initiating, but then to prolong that and keep them in care, it looks like it's a problem. Then also, that affecting our third 95. Why is it that, in your perception as a clinician, that people are not being virally suppressed, even though there's so much information?
It's not even according to my perception. It's what I've got into experience, or when you have that one-on-one interview with clients. First would be your drug and alcohol abuse. So our clients would tend to say, okay, well, I was drunk, I forgot my medication, blah, 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 blah. So if you are abusing drugs, definitely it will lead you to a point where you forget on doing some other things, because it makes you to be being able to be in touch with the world. So it takes you out of that state of being normal. So you obviously forget to take your medication on time. And we talk about your non-disclosure, which I found to be a huge problem, especially with men who live with men MSM who are living with HIV. This one time, this client said to me that at home I was told that I'm accepted as a gay man, but should I be HIV positive, it's going to be a huge thing for them. They can't take that. I mean, they can't accept that. So someone who's like that, it's not easy for them to divulge their status to their family members, to say, hey, I'm living with HIV. And therefore, they would try to have their medication. And it gets difficult for them when it comes the time of them taking their medication to be adherent to medication, and they would keep on defaulting. Especially in those families where there's no privacy, one-room house families. It's not easy for you to check your medication somewhere that you can 8 o'clock or whatever time that you've chosen for yourself to take your medication.
Hectic. I'm thinking now that stigma is still a problem, especially in those settings where somebody cannot freely or openly, live with HIV and try to manage it. I want to say, what then would be the advice in that situation? How would you then advise a client like that who says they are okay with me being gay, or okay with me being whatever that I am, but they will not be okay with me, taking my medication?
Our advice, well, obviously, one of the priorities of you being on ARVs, we want you to be very suppressed. So that's our concern, but it doesn't mean that we now trivializing the fact that your family is against you, and, HIV, because I would assume that it's them being against of you living with HIV. This is when now we pay you with our social workers. We give you support in terms of you taking your medication. And also, we try to find different strategies to say that if you can't take it at night, you can take it during the day. Because with the new drug, our TLD, it's not specific to time. It's to say at this set of time you must take your medication. Because you can say that at 3 o'clock you must take your medication. What happens at 3 o'clock if you're not there? So you can take your medication whenever, when you remember. So it doesn't have to be at a specific time. So you need to try and find ways in which you can always try to take your meds. And also We do offer your counseling to families, to say that, or we would refer you to so that you can go for your family and you can go to such counseling sessions for them to actually get to understand that you are living with HIV, and you therefore need to be on your medication.
It's quite interesting. If you have a story that you would love to share with us, or perhaps maybe comments when it comes to stigma around family, around living with HIV, or being part of the LGBTQI, or identifying as just somebody who's gender diverse, please share that with us. And if you need help, actually do pop in. We have sexual workers. We have social workers on board are ready to help you with that. It looks like we still have a long way to go, because then we're struggling with that. I want us to talk about education, because mostly also that is a contributing factor. Education. How are we educating? How should we educate clients? Do you find that it's more easier when you educate the clients with visual aids like a pamphlet or a flip chart, or playing clips, or reading visually? Educationally, which route should we take? Which route is more impactful when it comes to us educating them on viral load or HIV even?
Well, we learn there's different strategies of one absorbing information, whether through one-on-one, which is you and me sitting here, or through IEC material that we give to clients. But we try to, because we cannot identify each person's needs, to say, this one needs, this is where we try to say now, we offer you that education when you come and consult me with me as a clinician, to say, we're going to touch on adherence, we're going to touch on viral load, because you do have a right as a client to know what is adherence, what is viral load, and also we would give you IEC material to say, take home and read on your spare time. Should you not understand anything, you are free to always call our clinic and ask questions, or on your next appointment date, ask questions where you having problems and maybe you don't understand certain parts of the pamphlets. But mostly we do educate clients, and also what I found to be more rewarding for clients, they get happy when they get to learn that they are virally undetectable, and for them it becomes easy for them to continue taking the medication and being adherent to medication.
Let's touch on that, because also you might teach me about ARVs, but I don't know about these ARVs. Let's touch on the variety of ARVs that will help us then be virally suppressed. You spoke about TLD. Chances are it is an abbreviation of something very long. But give us then a sense of what would be TLD, because you're also saying that it's a new type of a medication, or it's a new ARV versus what was used previously in terms of ARVs.
So previously would use your TE, we call it tenofovir. TE, it consisted of tenofovir, effervescent, and what is it, emtricitabine. So with that, it had a low genetic barrier of resistance. So a lot of clients would miss their medication for months or for years. They would easily be resistant to medication, and by the time you try to reinitiate the client with the medication, it wouldn't be effective. But now when you're talking about TLD, which is a new drug, we're talking about your tenofovir, we're talking about your lamivudine, we're talking about your dolutegravir, which has a very high genetic resistance to barrier to resistance, meaning that it takes a while a client to actually be resistant to that medication. So this is a drug that has it suppresses viral load very rapidly and very quickly inside one's system. So that's the current drug that we're currently rolling out to clients.
So I think it has become a little bit easy for us to then manage HIV in that sense. If we have medication like TE, we have a clip up of actually you explaining the TE on our social media platforms. Make sure that you find it to better understand the TLD and TEE, on what is in their making, and how impactful they are, and how they look like, things and stuff like that. Mpho is giving us a 411 on Twitter handle there. It is Pop in. Two last questions that Mpho, I'm going to let you go. As the Dube spoke about seroconversion, serodiscondant. See, big words. Serodiscondant couples. It is a norm. I mean, we do have couples that are, one is HIV positive and the other is not. What then happens with that couple in terms of viral load and
Viral
how
load,
it's affected. And
yeah. One thing I like about serodiscordant couples, we do have medication for both clients, or treatment rather for both clients, because the one, so when we talk about serodiscordant, we're talking about a couple where one is living with HIV and the other partner or party is not living with HIV. So now it becomes actually very interestingly, it becomes very interesting to see both couples being on medication, which is the one that's not living with HIV. We advise the client to be on PrEP, to take their daily PrEP, and the one that's living with HIV to take their ARVs. So it becomes very encouraging to the ones that are living with HIV that my partner is also taking their medication daily, and I can also take. So it becomes that one thing to say at 8 o'clock my child is babysit, or 10 o'clock, whatever time that you choose for yourself. Therefore, we it's a support, because when you are taking your medication, ultimately you get to be virally undetectable, and it becomes very difficult for one that's living with HIV to pass the virus to the person that's not living with HIV, especially that they would be undetectable, and that the ones that are not living with HIV, they'll be taking their PrEP to prevent themselves from being
it's quite interesting. So then I become undetectable, right? I mean, I don't become undetectable. The virus becomes undetectable, and then I cannot pass it on. Does it mean that the partner should continue taking a PrEP if it's a serodiscordant couple? Because then if I'm undetectable, it means the virus cannot be transmitted to the next person. So should they leave their PrEP just because I'm undetectable, or should they continue?
You can't leave your PrEP. You have to be always on your PrEP to protect yourself. And also, it will depend that maybe, well, if you have I don't want to box people, but if you in such relationship, I wouldn't advise you to stop taking your PrEP. Even if you see other people besides your partner that's living with HIV and take their medication, but I wouldn't advise anyone to leave or stop taking their PrEP. So they should continue taking their PrEP, whether the partner is undetectable or not. Well, obviously they're not. You have to continue taking your medication.
Undetectable equals untransmittable. That is the new HIV status. Last words before we get to session 2 of this conversation is how often then should a person test, especially in that certain way. It's a why do I like to say serodiscordant couple? How often should they? Because this one who's HIV positive, obviously they have, they're coming back to, checking their virus, to take their bloods after 6 months, after a year. This one, should they always come at that time as well? What's the testing, or what's the often revisiting of the
right now the current guidelines say that we clients need to test each and every 6 weeks, but according to our PrEP guidelines is the client would test each and every visit that come at the facility, meaning at initiation we test, at 3 months we test again, and as frequently as they would love to, they choose, they should often test whenever they visit the facility, which would be guided by us giving them PrEP. So say at 1 month you test, 3 months you test, 6 months you test.
Most definitely. Mpho Mankayi, or Mpho and eThekwini clinician, joining us for this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in session 2, and we'll see you in session 2 as we continue to understand viral load suppression. Send through your questions on Mpho's Facebook page. And next question, or the next session, we are talking undetectable, because we understood what is a viral load, so that will be explained that to us. We also understood then a low viral load and how to keep it, and some of the factors that contribute to that. And now we want to understand undetectable equals untransmittable, which for me it would be, and actually for you, actually for everybody else, would be the new HIV status. I'm gonna see you on that one. Happy streaming. Bye.